Do-do-do-do-do. Ooh. Live. Say what?
On?
Yeah, I'm on. Where are you?
I'm right here.
You're late already.
Are you eating my nuts?
Nope.
There's some missing.
Hey, Ryan Mudd. You gave me a limit. I wouldn't take any more. I don't have my, I guess I could put my glasses on and zoom in, but I like it. I don't like. Hey!
Hi,
Hey.
I'm here.
You're on. Hey, guys. Thank you, everybody, for getting on here. It's Thursday, 8 o'clock. That means it's Straight from the Gut. It's a show that I do. My name's Tommy Davidson. If somehow you find me because somebody shared this stream on there, tell you a little bit about me. I'm a real estate agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I'm a big guru of self-improvement. I am dedicated to trying to reach my potential, but by doing so, I like to reflect on where I was. I'm 44 years old, so the purpose of Straight from the Gut is I'm a very honest, transparent person that I like to reflect back. And if I could tell myself at 30 years old what would I have done, these are the things that I would be telling myself. So that's the whole purpose of Straight from the Gut. And it's usually somehow related to self-improvement. But tonight, I'm not going to mention anybody's names, but I talk to a lot of people that come to me for relationship advice. I've always loved giving relationship advice. And people might ask me, what the hell do you know about relationships? And I feel like I know a lot about relationships because of the things that I've learned from my past. And I'm very open about that discovery. I'm very open about things that I've done wrong and things I've done right. So tonight what I want to do is I want to start out by talking about things that I did wrong, which made me a complete disaster with relationships. And then I'm going to talk about things that have helped me become who?
Mr. Right.
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect.
I'm not Mr. Perfect, but I'm taking pride in being Mr. Right.
And perfectly perfect.
Perfectly perfect.
Imperfectly
perfect. Well, hey,
perfectly imperfect.
And I do believe that there's no such thing as being perfect, but I do think there's a such thing as a perfect match. Write that down. Hey, write that down, somebody. Put that on there. So, hey, I'm going to list out 5 things that I probably struggled with. When I talk to people, I think they struggle with them as well because I talk to so many of my friends about this. So that's who I am. But before I get started, I would like you to do this. I want you to like, I want you to comment, and I want you to share this stream. I'm trying to reach 131,000 people in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. That's my goal. That's my purpose. So I need your help to do that. I want you to share this stream onto your wall. You got to do is hit that little click there, and it shares it right over there to you. So about to get started. I think there's something else I was going to say. I can't remember what it was.
That you love me.
I love you. I love you there. Joey, you drunk? Joey, you sound sick. You got it. So hey, everybody, share my stream out.
The night will get
And if you do share my stream out, I go back in and me and Kathleen will pick one person that will be chosen for Alley on Main. It's a $25 gift card. We give out 2 every week. We make pictures. I got proof. I think I probably literally have given away 50 gift cards in the last few months. So I do it because I want you people my friends on here to help me build my brand. And also go to GoodTimeTommy.com to learn more about what I'm trying to do. All right, hey, this is me. This is my perspective. I'm talking about my weaknesses, and we're going to go back. We're going to go back several years, but they also, unfortunately, have been part of my new, as I've gotten older. So it's not like I just got rid of these things. So number one, I'm going to tell you, this is gross, guys. This is ugly, and I'm going to get Brittany, Renee, and all the girls on there. I want you guys, and girls to comment on this. Number one, I'm going to tell you something that was pathetic. I was needy. Oh, needy. What? And I'm not talking about needy about, hey, help me do this. I'm not talking about, hey, can you help me fix this? Can you cook my dinner? I'm not talking about baby shit needy. I'm talking about I was emotionally needy. Make me feel better about me. I was so needy. Now, I'm using this as a far extreme because I'm probably not as needy.
But on the woman's side, it sounds like that. It feels like that because most women cannot stand any kind of neediness.
Okay, well, you're probably right. I was very needy. But what I needed from a woman was I needed that approval for them to make me feel better about me. How many of you guys out there can admit that? That's kind of...
Neediness stems from self-consciousness, in a sense.
Self-consciousness?
No. Like where you're
self-confidence?
You're just not very...
Yeah. There's definitely something that there is a lack of internal belief going on in yourself when you are needy, when you're worried. Okay. I can't see you because I don't have my glasses on over there. So, hey.
You're looking at me funny.
I am going into dangerous territory, David Ross, but hey, I'm only talking about me. I don't know if other guys are willing to admit this, but looking back in my relationships, I was needy. So when I'm needy, I'm not attracting the people into my life that I would want. I would probably attract somebody into my life that I didn't want. Or they didn't want me and it just would not work because of my neediness. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about that? Because the next thing led into this. My primary focus back in this day was I was focused on them.
So I need details. What would you do to need their approval? Or how would you get their approval?
I would probably constantly ask for reinforcement. I would
words of affirmation.
I was probably always need to know where I stood with them, where we were. That would be one gross thing that would be needy, that would be gross. Neediness is nothing more than a lack of confidence. That could be one of the things, Joey Holt. May not be the only reason, but I probably needed attention from them. I needed them to make me feel better about me. And sometimes I may not have even been into that person. I just needed them to make me feel good about me.
Yeah.
And this was in the old days. Sounds like me, brother. Hey, Matthew, are you even 30 years old yet? My primary focus, number two, was I focused on them. Everything was centered around them. What are they doing? Why haven't they called me? What is she doing right now?
She responded with K, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like a damn woman over-analyzing what they're saying back to me. In the meantime, I had no focus on myself. I had no purpose. I'm looking back, I had a job, and I made enough money. I made good money back then. Nothing like what I make now. Nothing like what I wanted to. But this was something that was holding me back. Because of this, that feeling I would get was my purpose. That's what made me feel good about me. That's what drove me. I would put in a lot of work in these relationships. Mm-hmm. Women don't care about that. You aren't no old woman. So, do you understand what I'm saying is when I make them my purpose, I don't want to say obsession.
At some point in all of our lives, we've been in a relationship or a circumstance where we've been in those shoes, where we just get a little too into it to where we do place a lot of our happiness based on what we're getting from that
We
person,
are
the
seeking their good
reciprocation.
opinion.
Yep.
But what kind of life does that lead to? How do you feel? Hey,
You're
Adam
never
Wright.
completely fulfilled if you're feeling that way.
Adam Wright can sit here and talk about how pathetic I used to be with women. Me and him, we were going through coaching calls about every 25 minutes about how I was with women, because I had labeled in my mind that the good opinion of a woman was more important to me than anything else. Hey, Dale Jr., thank you for joining. Number 3. Now, here's like whenever I was in a relationship, this is one of the major problems that I had. I handled conversations with anger and with emotions.
Yes.
So a lot of times if we were sitting there talking, I don't know if you people know this or not, but I was married. A lot of people may not know this. I was married for 7 months back in the day. And my ex-wife was a lot smarter than me. You know, Brittany Renee, they do remind me of one another, actually. But she was a lot smarter than me, and she could say things to me that would pin me in a position to where the only way I could defend myself is by reacting in anger. Very immature, very ugly, very, very weak. It's very weak for a man to react to a woman with anger and try to have his way by yelling at her or talking down to her. But I admit that I was so weak for so long, and I hate that. I hate that I couldn't just stay calm and have conversations. But she could say things that she was a lot smarter than me. And the only way I could really combat it was say something mean, and then it would just get uglier and uglier. And think about the dysfunction that is. Now, she could have had a bad tone, or she could have said something, but I would say something to escalate the fight even further.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in relationships like that?
Yeah.
Have you ever dated a guy
you
that's
just feed off of each other?
You just feed off
gets
each other.
Worse and worse. And
so I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was talking about things, and this is something that I wrote down. And everybody, you need to write this down, because I believe in a relationship, in partnerships, in marriages, I believe problems secretly grow in these relationships. There's a lot of unspokenness. It's kind of like a storm coming out of nowhere that you can't see on a radar. And whenever either the guy or the girl, whenever they're mad, a lot of times they're holding in the real reason why they're mad. It's unspoken. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's trust. Maybe there's no trust there. And then there's one little baby circumstance that comes up for them to transfer their lack of trust and say, well, this is the problem here. Well, really, it doesn't make any sense. The real problem a lot of times is unspoken.
Well, yeah, because if there's a consistency of whenever you try to communicate, going back and forth like that until it gets worse, people tend to naturally build walls and not communicate because they'd rather just do that than to get into an argument.
Mm-hmm. And it gets worse and worse.
Yeah, it creates more problems and barriers and ugh.
So whenever you're trying to manipulate people, a lot of times, like friends, I think friends do this, and in the past, I would always take my story and take my side, and I would go to my buddy and I would tell him the director's cut of what just happened. I would leave out so many details. I was leaving out so much, and then they would reinforce my belief. Well, that's not fair to the person that you've asked. It's not fair to you, and it's definitely not fair to the girl or the guy that you're dating. Hey, everybody, I appreciate you joining. Please like, please comment, and please share my stream. So, this was something, this anger and these outbursts and me just kind of being a big baby. As a matter of fact, that's what Joey Richardson used to call me, his big baby. Because if I couldn't get my way, I would just turn into big baby. I would
picture you in a big diaper.
Yeah, well, I think about that. If I didn't get my way, if you don't get your way, when you're immature, or if you want to start manipulating, you find ways to start taking things away from others. And I was talking to somebody the other day. This really happens in divorces where there's a child involved. Let's just say if the parents are splitting up, one of them that's mad will use the child as leverage. No, you ain't ever getting to see this kid. Well, I'll let you see it every other weekend, or I'll let you see it. The best interest of the child, unless one of the parents are just unfit to be a parent, is always a combined effort.
Right.
It should always be that way.
Parenting.
But what people do when they're hurt or when they're scarred is they're going to try to somehow find a way to get people back. Mama. Hey, man, Jimbo, I always put it out here, man. I don't mind sharing my story. But that's the way I think you get better, man. You don't start improving until you, first off, make the decision it's time to get better. But secondly, you got to commit, man. You've got to commit, and you've got to become aware of, where was I? You cannot improve on something that's invisible. So you've got to see where you were. Number 4, this is something that this creates probably more problems in relationships than people really can imagine. And it's I lived with doubts. It really hurt my confidence. So it kind of ties in with number 1, but I always just felt like somehow, some way, this is going to end. I was already betting on a loss, and it would play itself out.
Right.
Those sabotage. She's going to do something.
Yeah.
And this really stems from a lack of belief in myself, a lack of belief in relationships. I would lead us to that direction. My lack of belief, already knowing. So I believe this, whatever you think on the inside radiates out to people. You create energy. If you're around somebody, they don't have to say things to make you feel a certain way. They can just stand there. They can smile. They can frown. They can be quiet. They can make you feel a certain way. And whenever a girl, if you know this, girls can be mad at you and not say nothing, but they're putting off energy. They got that stare going on. Mind over matter. That's right, Ryan Mudd. But girls, a lot of times, nothing's wrong with me. Nothing. Hey, that's that unspoken problem secretly grow.
And they say, I'm fine. That's like a red flag, they say.
Well, like we were talking to my buddy earlier, a lot of times the current situation ain't the problem. Right. The problem started months ago, days ago, years ago, and it's never, ever, ever been talked about. We're going to just walk around
and it may just come out over something small. Because
they'll camouflage it. They'll try to they'll get overly mad about something very simple, right. But they're mad about the small problem, but they're also mad about the problem they didn't tell you about. You understand what I'm saying, friends? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Underlying issues.
Underlying issue. AKA, hey, I call it the secret problems. Unspoken bitterness is what I refer to it as.
Ooh.
I am drinking water tonight, friends, if anybody is curious. No Gentleman Jack for me. I am on a mission, by the way, to lose 20 pounds. We went on vacation. I gained 7 pounds. I got up to 227. Now I'm at 220.4. I'm going under 200 pounds. So, Number 5. This is another huge flaw that I dealt with. And this is something that my coach, Michael Burt, has taught me, is having a low bounce back. A low bounce back would mean if a problem happened, it would take me way too long to get over it.
Yeah, the recovery.
The recovery. That is so looking good, Buddy Rose. The recovery, that is a very articulate way to say it, Brittany Renee. My recovery was very slow. I would probably mope around. Who on here likes it if they hurt somebody's feelings or they get mad and they mope around? Who likes that? Okay, well all this kind of goes back into being a little bit needy. You said something that hurt my feelings. Where are you nowadays, Susan? I see you guys go all over the world, but thank you for getting on here. But you got to get over things faster. I took things way too personal, but I think all this still goes back into being needy. I would take things way too personal. I was an only child who thought everything through. I could only really see things through my own lens. That's all. I couldn't. My perspective came through here, and it was very hard for me to get outside of how I was feeling about the situation and understand what the truth actually was. Mm-hmm. Not me. Awesome. Hey, I appreciate everybody that's making comments on here. So I'm going to go back through these real fast. These were like, hey, these are the don't do's in relationships, by the way.
Are we going to go through the do's?
Yeah, they're coming up.
Oh.
What time is? Oh, we've been going 21 minutes. I'm sorry. Tunnel vision. Okay, so go back through there. I was needy, over defensive. Who likes to be around people that are ultra defensive? Problems with the website. Dang, Mama, I need you on here. Nobody likes to be around somebody that's defensive. Whenever you're around people that are defensive, you will hold back things. You can't tell them because you don't want them to get upset. So what you do is you go into a state of, I'm not going to go there. Number 2 is I was primarily focused on the other person. And not in a good way. I'm not talking about I was focused on doing something for them. I was more focused on what they weren't doing for me. My focus was on them. They're not doing this. They're not making me feel this way. They're out here doing this. They're probably not even thinking about, I was doing all that stuff that's just disgusting. Number 3, I handled too many of our conversations with anger, with too much emotion. I was way too flammable, way too high strung, way too sensitive.
Okay.
Number 3, I lived with doubts. Really hurt. I mean, it was really just lack of confidence. My lack of belief in these relationships would lead to the end. Number 5, low bounce back. You've got to, what's the word you used?
What?
What is bounce back? What'd you call that?
Recovery.
You've got to recover faster.
Right.
Okay. Do you have anything
I think we summed that up. Let's move on to the things that you should do.
All right. Okay. Number 1 on what I believe that a man, this is my belief on what a man should be doing to be Mr. Right.
A boy or a man?
A man. You got to be about a man. Okay. Number 1 for me, it all started with building my internal confidence. A man. Hey, Mama, thank you for getting, my mama's on here as well. A man has to build internal confidence. Internal confidence, his belief, his security, everything comes from within.
Because if you have internal confidence, then you have a lack of neediness.
Yes, that's right.
Just like going back to number 1 of things you shouldn't do.
So my number 1 in the old days of being pathetic was my confidence was so
lacking.
It was external. Everything was external.
Right. There's Sean.
Sean.
He must not be in the kitchen tonight.
Man, I'm sorry, Heather. My show's going in and out. I hate that. Hey, Sean, I'm telling everybody they got to share this stream because they get an alley on main card if they're selected. So number 1, I had to go to work on building my internal confidence, and that was a hard job to do. All the focus that was out here, everything I was focusing on, I had a good friend named Tony Woodall who helped me understand I had to start internalizing everything. Started right here. All my beliefs, everything good was coming from inside me. Everything, God had already given me everything that I needed. I just thought, before then, I was looking external. I appreciate the shares, really do. So it takes a while to do it right. It takes a while to build internal confidence.
Yeah.
You can't just go out and buy something. I mean, it's the only thing you can't buy is internal confidence. There ain't. I mean, well, I can tell you, I believe in just knowing. I believe working on yourself with reading and focusing every day on making your life better will build more confidence. So that is something that takes, I think it took me 4 or 5 years to really build up confidence in relationships and other aspects of my life. I was hoping that it would go a lot faster than that, but it didn't. You would be tested. I do believe that God will send you these tests.
Yeah.
And they'll get harder and harder until he gives you one that you just can't pass. Then he gives you one where you fail. And I've been through that.
It's better late than never, because sometimes things happen where it completely just breaks a person and they can't ever find it.
That's right.
So.
Wish I could watch the show. Jacked up internet. Dang, Mama. Number 2.
She's going to have to come over from now.
Mama, you're just going to have to come over here on Thursday nights. Number 2, my focus at one time was on the woman. Chasing the woman. That was my focus. I made a decision to focus on me. And I believe, like Brittany has told me before, in relationships, I need to focus on me for her. She needs to focus on herself for me.
Well, the right wording is, I'll take care of me for you, and you need to take care of you for me.
That sounds a little better.
Yeah.
But I meant the same thing.
Right, I know. But like health, what we're going through, you take care of yourself for me, and I'll do the same for you.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Linda got Concast.
Joey Holt being funny.
Oh, she's like, I'm back.
So I developed my purpose for work. I decided, you know what? During this time, I think I was probably selling, some years I would sell maybe 45 to 50 houses. Some years it was probably in the 30s. But I had a goal during this time. One day, I'm going to sell 100 houses. 100 houses. And I didn't know how I was going to get there, but that became my dominant focus, was I'm going to build this real estate gig, and that's going to come first, okay? Because I do believe women are interested in men that have a bigger purpose than themselves in life.
That have a drive. A drive is so attractive.
For you.
Well, everybody has their individual things that attract them to men or whatever, but for me, having an actual drive or passion is very attractive.
Okay, well, that's what, so.
Could probably, not just in your situation, but I'm saying you could work at a corporation and be in a position, but just strive to always be better.
Right.
And that, to me, is drive. That's a passion. Not just being content and comfortable in the same spot.
I agree with that. I see people all the time that they may be 22 or 23 years old in a job. I can just tell there's something better coming for them in the future because of their drive.
Right.
But by me getting off the focus of pleasing a woman or trying to bring one into my life, I was now in a position to where I was attracting women into my life because they saw the life I had, or they had faith in me, thinking, this guy's going somewhere. I want to be with this guy. Look at what he's doing. Hey, don't worry, Brittany. I told all no.
Hey. Did I chase you? Let's get the record straight.
Will Webb, where do you find these magical unicorns like you have? Will, I think you got to find yourself first, and then that woman will come find you. I'm not saying Brittany Renee came and knocked on my door, but it just happened.
You pursued me. Don't lie.
You pursued me,
you did.
But it was an easy pursue because of where I was positioned. Would you say that?
Yeah. Immediately.
Okay. So I wouldn't have had a chance if Brittany Renee didn't like the direction I was going. I was focused on me. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get whoever you want. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think you've got to work on becoming the best person that you can possibly be. Reaching your potential every day.
Yes.
And somebody's going to take notice of that, Will, and they're going to say, you know what? That's who I want. That's the kind of guy that I'm looking for. Number 3, remember I told you I handled conversations with a lot of anger and a lot of emotions. Well, one of the things, age and maturity and the ability to talk help me solve problems better. That is something, becoming a better communicator has helped out so much in relationships with Brittany Renee. I'm sure she probably still thinks at times I need to be a better communicator. I do think Brittany Renee would say the best. Say it.
You're the best.
I'm the best communicator. Well, what helped me become a great communicator wasn't my doing. It was by me reading a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it helped me understand what I say. I may felt like in the moment I was proving my point or I was winning this argument. But after reading that book, the important thing is not about me making those other people feel like I'm superior or that I'm right. What's important is making those people like me.
And take responsibility for making them feel that way, in a sense. Even though you didn't mean to make them feel that way, you take responsibility for it, and then...
whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, and then you get into the nitty-gritty.
So if I'm talking to somebody, and maybe I didn't say something the way I thought it sounded in my head. Maybe I said something that made you mad. I've got to take that responsibility and say, well, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, like tonight, she got a little upset with me because she's sitting there doing the dishes and I'm telling her stuff. I'm mansplaining is what we call this. I'm sitting there stating obvious things and she thought I was talking down to her. And you know what I did when you told me that?
Because I had a discussion with you and I said, hey, you know that thing that you don't like that I do? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing that I don't like that you do. She
laid it out there. Yeah. So I knew it was serious when she put those little, she put that little disclaimer in there like, hey, you tell me whenever there's things I'm doing that you don't like. Well, look, right here is one that you're doing. So that caught my attention. She didn't have to say anything mean. She just had to say it like that. See, years ago, I couldn't have done that. I would have just lashed out and said something. Most people, I think it's very common for people to go through that. So as I've matured, as I've been able to communicate, I put their thoughts, their feelings before my own. Whenever I'm trying to get my point. Craig, I haven't forgot about you, buddy. I need you to call me tomorrow. Please call me tomorrow. I'll tell you about everything going on in my life.
You need some gold necklaces with that hairy chest.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I got better at listening to people and understanding that that's how they feel. And how I feel does not mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's right. Just like how they feel, it may or may not be right, but it's the way they feel. So whenever in the old days, whenever somebody's telling me the way they felt, I would probably try to attack them to try to change the way they feel.
Right.
And that's not fair to them.
Right.
And I was telling Charlie in our sales call the other day, I don't think you can just beat into somebody's brain they're wrong. I think you can show them an evidence to help them change their opinion. That's right. The way people really want to change their mind, is they want you to show them evidence that, oh, okay, well, now I see this. Moving along. Number 4 earlier was I lived with those doubts and it really hurt confidence and it really would lead to the end of a relationship. Number 4 on this one, I decided if I'm doing what I'm supposed to, the girl's going to be lucky to be with me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
If I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, hey, so what I'm doing is I'm putting all the focus back on me. That goes right along with the focus being on me instead of them. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, even when it's times I don't want to do it, like you did me. What are you talking about, Mama? What do you mean, Mama? Hey, when did Kira join? One time Kira told me if there's 4 people in the car and everybody wanted Wendy's and I wanted Taco Bell, we'd all go to Taco Bell. Because I was a big baby. So I made the decision, look, I'm going to, who you texting over there?
My mom.
What is she saying? She's talking about this show. She's talking about how good we're doing. That's what she's doing. Yeah. So I put all the focus on me being my best. And if I'm doing my best, all the things are going to work itself out. Number 5. The old number 5 is I had a very low bounce back, a very low recovery, as you would say. That was a very, very, very good way to explain that.
Hey, it's football terminology.
It was.
You should know this.
So I focused on getting over things faster, not taking things as personal as I used to. So whenever somebody doesn't do something, or if they do say something, you don't take it as personal. You don't get as mad. You don't stay mad as long. And when you do all these things, your partner, I believe, will start reciprocating. But I do believe a lot of relationships, if you do one thing, it's going to come back at you. Your partner is probably going to do the same thing. Hey, Richard Neese, how you doing, friend? So, what would you like to add to that, Brittany Renee? Give me something. Tell me something. No, just over what I've talked about.
Overall?
Yeah.
Well, the last point is...
I'll answer some questions.
I mean, it's easy for you to tell yourself how you think and feel, and feel that way. But depending on what it is that happened or what you argued about, sometimes the recovery is harder than just you saying, I'm going to recover now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really just depends. So,
Yep.
Depending on the relationship that you're in, if you're finding yourself to be in a situation where you're taking an awful long time to recover based upon whatever it is, you probably need to reconsider.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. So let's talk about that. So what Brittany is really talking about is if you're with somebody and they do something really, really wrong to you, mm-hmm. or they've continually done something wrong to you, how can you just tell somebody to get over it?
Yeah.
That goes back to number 2 of my focus. I'm glad you brought that up.
Habitual offenders.
Well, okay, but if I'm focusing on myself and hitting my potential, I'm not going to allow that to happen.
That's not necessarily true, baby.
Why not?
Because there's people out there that are unfaithful, that are hitting every cylinder of everything they need to be successful and driven and motivated and focused on themselves.
I'm not going to let it happen because I can't stay in the relationship.
Right. I'm not saying you personally. I'm just saying there's people out there that are on here watching that are or have been in situations mm-hmm. where there has been these situations occur. Okay.
Well, what I was saying on that is, for me, that's a good point that you brought up. But what I was saying is this: if I was now in a relationship where somebody, let's just say if you're doing things to me or if I was doing things to you, I think we're both in a position now to where we're going to focus on ourselves first mm-hmm. and what's best for us. And if I'm doing something wrong or if you're doing something wrong, I think me and you're going to move on from that. We're not going to stay and create an ongoing negative cycle that's going to make our life bad. Right. So what I'm saying is, if I'm telling somebody bounce back, well, then they tell me lots of other things that makes it hard to bounce back. I'm going to say you're going to have to consider yourself first. If they're showing you who they are, you got to believe them.
I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Take care of you.
What else do you have? That was good. Hey, that was good. I appreciate you having that on there.
What? Me?
That comment.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I have some good material.
What else do you have? Do we have any other comments? We've been going about 40 minutes. I like to make the show about, hey, Richard Fluharty. Hey, we're going to the alley on Main. You said you're going to. Hey, I hope everybody has a great 4th of July, by the way. And I do want to give a plug for something that I'm doing. You will hear about me doing the Murfreesboro Dancing with the Stars. I've got a great fear of dancing in front of people. I don't like doing it, but the reason why I've committed to doing it is I want to raise the most money ever for that Reconstruction for Life. The goal is $10,000. How I'm doing that is I'm selling t-shirts. If you go to GoodTimeTommy.com, they're $25 a piece. Every dollar of those shirts are going to Reconstruction for Life. Hey, Leslie, I appreciate you, kiddo.
Oh, thanks, Leslie.
Appreciate everybody.
I think I am.
Sometimes too big. Love you and Brittany. Mommy, you misspelled Brittany. And Lucky. We're trying to get rid of Lucky.
No, we're not. not.
So I guess the takeaway from this is I do, hey Brad, I appreciate you getting a t-shirt. I do believe, if we want to get a little deeper into this stuff, I do believe that it is the man's responsibility to lead. And that
Just like when it comes to dancing.
It is. No, what does leadership look like? I'm not saying dictatorship. I'm talking about being a leader. Like is my new friend. He is your new friend.
He is.
Ryan Mudd talked about being a servant leader, and I believe that's the way it should be. I think I need to do things for Brittany Renee that give her strength, that give her confidence. Me being the leader, a lot of times maybe putting her first most of the time, what she wants. Although it is hard for me to, since I'm an only child, but hey.
I'm an only child too.
We're both only children.
But since I have a child, it makes it a little easier for me to be more caring towards others.
So anybody, if you've got a question about anything that I've talked about tonight, I want to hear it. I want to hear anything that you've got, totally unscripted. I don't know what's coming, but I want to know a question. I want to hear a problem, a situation, and I want you to understand this. The situation you're in right now is it's because of you, and you've got to take you got to take full responsibility that because of where you are is because of what you've done or what you're not doing.
Your input or lack thereof.
Man,
I'm on fire.
Where'd you get that one? Hey, I might have to write that down. But remember, I believe problems secretly grow in relationships. And sometimes problems happen because of something that you've done. And sometimes problems start happening because of things you have not done.
Mm-hmm. It could be something that happened in a previous relationship.
Hey, that's I used to call this, me and Michael Burt would talk about this. I believe a lot of times we have transferable warranties where we take everything from our old relationship and we put it right here in the new relationship.
We have a question
Okay.
From the audience.
Yep.
Best way to communicate problems?
The best way I think to communicate a problem is to first off make sure the other person does not feel attacked.
You have to acknowledge.
Well, what if they don't ask a question?
You have to acknowledge that they're feeling the way that they're feeling.
Okay. I agree with that. The first thing you got to know or do when you're communicating, I subscribe to this in sales and relationships. I subscribe to 3 steps. You listen first, you acknowledge second, and you isolate third. And I think the first thing you got to do in these situations where they've told you something and now it's time to communicate, I think you've got to find a way to acknowledge and understand that's how they feel.
Yep. First.
So
that will lighten the mood. I mean, if you think about it, if you have somebody that's just very, emotional and they're ready to just attack, I say attack with my little, but you need to just kind of lighten the mood, acknowledge the way they're feeling, make them feel comfortable, and then
that's right.
Talk about it.
Hey, Jackson Jordan, Rough Country, Brittany Renee needs your help cutting her grass over there at that new place.
Yes, on a regular basis.
So, Joey, to get back to you, the best way to communicate is you've got to drop their guard. You can't say something that's going to heighten their defenses. You don't want to say something that's going to make them more defensive, because most people are so married to being right. They will do anything to prove that they're right. Will
we have another call?
Okay, I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Okay. What do you do when you feel the other person is being too needy? How do you handle that?
And zip up that Adam, the zipper
it's broken,
is
Adam.
broken. What do I do when somebody's being? All these things you've got. I tell the salespeople this all the time. I'm the sales manager at John Jones Real Estate. I think you've got to, in your mind, go ahead and visualize that you're talking to somebody extremely sensitive, and you've got to talk to them with little kid gloves. Does that help you at all, Will Webb, that you...
Here's the thing, though. If they're being too needy, we've already established that that's an internal problem on their end. So just, even if you bring it to their attention, it's going to be hard for them to stop being so needy because they're lacking confidence. They're lacking their self-confidence.
But how do you go ahead and open the subject? How do you approach it?
What do you do? You have to massage it. You have to...
You gotta kind of slowly work your way in there and then open that up, because if they're needy and you just said, hey, you're too needy, that person first off is going to defend themselves and say, I'm not needy, and then they're going to say something, you're needy. It's going to go back and forth like that. So you're going to have to say something to where so much is about trust.
Saturday Night Fever.
So much is about trust, and let me tell you what I mean by that. You've got to trust that you can be open and say things to somebody and them not get defensive. And that does not happen in one conversation. That happens from the beginning. You start a relationship with somebody, all that grows. Trust will grow or it will kind of fade away. So if you've got to have these conversations with somebody, you've got to trust that you can say it and they're going to accept it, and they've got to trust that you're saying this out of love and care.
I like what your mom said.
What did she say?
She said, I'm so glad y'all found each other. You need to get married. It's meant to be.
Who else has a question? We've been going almost 50 minutes now.
He's only taking questions, not sweet comments, Mama.
Thank you, Mama.
Just questions. Only questions.
She is a keeper, Mama.
Hey, the title of your little promotion today was How to Become a Right Man for the Right Woman, and you tagged me, so apparently I am a right woman for you.
Did I tag you? Hey, Matt Sargent, congratulations
on
he's Mr. Right.
Congrats, Matt.
He is somebody. Congrats, buddy. Are you sure I tagged you? I don't ever tag anybody, baby.
You tagged me. It's on my page. You sure did.
Okay. You sure did. So, hey, do we have any other questions before it's my bedtime?
He's supposed to be writing a book, Ryan.
Brian, I am going to write a book, buddy. Hey, Brian, whenever
What's
your
it called?
Status sales, whenever you get back, whenever you're in Murfreesboro next week or the week after, let's go to, me and you, Ryan Muck, can go to the Alley on Main. Okay, when are y'all getting married?
Well, you can't say that because otherwise it wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, that's right, Mama.
We got to keep that,
right. That's right, Mama. Hey, everybody, I appreciate all the likes, the comments. I really would appreciate the shares. If you do share the stream, I am going to pick one winner, and you get to go to the Alley on Main. So to become Mr. Right, you've got to do it for yourself.
How do two needy people make it?
That's hard, man, because both people have to be in a good spot to make it work. If two people are needy, it's going to be dysfunctional. If one person's needy, there's going to be a lot of anger floating around. So when there's two needy people, it's going
to be dysfunctional whether one or both are needy. You have to find and get to a point to where both people are established and self-confident and not needy.
Okay, well, so see, what you're talking about, how do two needy people make it? The two needy people didn't come together and all of a sudden become needy. They were needy before they came together.
Yeah.
So they didn't work on these issues before you came together. So now I believe it's a lot easier to work on your individual problems when you're by yourself. Whenever you've got somebody in there with you, it's a lot harder to correct these problems. I think the best way to correct these problems is to go through a breakup. Go through a breakup, and it forces you to focus on yourself. So, two needy people, first off, there's got to be some communication. There's got to be somebody Mr. Right, and talk about relationship. Hey, Ryan, thank you. The two needy people are going to have to acknowledge the fact that, hey, I'm needy. I'm needy. They're both going to have to acknowledge that they're needy, and they're going to have to start kind of from the ground up and build some foundation, build some trust that they can talk about these things. And it's okay to admit that you're needy. All those things that I talked about, a lot of people would never want to admit that they were needy, that they were focused on woman, they handled conversations with anger. They don't want to admit that. For me, I have found it's very empowering to go ahead and admit these things and say, hey, I was this. The only way I can get better, though, is having a starting point of, this is how I'm going to recover. Hey,
recovery.
Your word. Recovery.
Hashtag recovery.
Throw another question at me, Joji. If you want, I can do this till midnight for you, buddy. Can do it all night.
Going on hot, baby.
Say what?
That was a lot of content. That was great. Great content.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You kept me in the dark on it, but I'm glad you did. I liked it.
Well, I like to keep you in the dark so you can throw some stuff at me.
Ooh, what about relationships with women that have kids already?
Hey, I don't even know if I can talk about that one, John. Hey, we're in the family.
And we're both, I have a child.
Brittany Renee's got a child. Man, it's very hard to give away something that you don't possess. And Brittany's situation, we don't have any problems with it. Other than the fact that Brittany feels like she's probably got 2 kids at times. But Hardy and Ed Hardy. Well, I'm sure it can be tough. I tell you what. Well, I tell you one thing it takes. I do think this. Now, I think some women may throw some punches at me for saying this. I think women need to acknowledge that this is hard for a man. And they do need to say, hey, I know this is tough. Because I do think mamas are always going to side with their children. I just think that's the way it is. Even in traditional marriages where they're all together, the mama bear is always going to probably, her instinct is always going to probably side with the child.
I don't feel like we've gotten there, though. I feel like we've probably been...
Well, I will say this, because you did say this early on, is, hey, we've got to yield to you. You've got to come first. So Brittany kind of empowered... that was very crucial. So, I guess I can speak on us, because Brittany did say, no, for this to work, we've got to yield to you. And I'm not saying I get to abuse that power.
But that wasn't the way it was said.
How was it?
But in the church, it's supposed to be God...
Yeah.
husband or wife, and in this situation we're not married yet, but in order for this to work it would have to be your spouse and then children, because you work as a partnership and you work better as a partnership. If it's just a sole situation, it's just never going to work. So you have to be a partnership first and then to care for the kids correctly.
So could you easily see where a mama would always side?
Yeah.
Is that fair to the guy?
I'm guilty of it because I've done that, in just my previous relationship. I was always very just overly protective of Nicholas, and I always sided with him, and it was always me and Nicholas against him. And it was terrible. It was bad. It was bad on my part.
But that was a learning part.
It was a learning experience.
That was learning. Hey, Charlie, is that you or Kathleen signing on as you? Need to love Brittany and Christ loves the church. Hey, I do love Brittany. Don't I?
Do you love me?
Of course I do.
You love me.
My cousin and new stud, Charlie, is on here. Charlie has been seen taking some abuse on the Facebook Lives. And
I need to go ahead and just let him know, Charlie, you're going to be a rock star. You have a voice that you can trust, and that's very important if you're doing some cold calls. So. No. Charlie is going to be the best. He is going to be the best real estate salesperson, pure salesperson in Murfreesboro. There you go.
That's our goal. That's what we're going to. Hey, sorry to put this on you. Hey, Eddie,
first.
You know me, Mama. What are you asking, Mama? See, my mama probably always sided with me because my mama always said I'm just her little boy. She probably always sided with me. But I was a good kid. Nicholas is a good kid. Nicholas is always very respectful. He's always very...
The issue that we have had so far, I'm amazed at how easy it's been. Because you and I talk about it. You calm me down when I get elevated. I just feel it's been a true blessing.
Okay, so that's a good point about how we're communicating. Now, in the old days, I probably would have said something in anger, or I could have said something that would have. I think men, a lot of times, they say what's on their mind and they get straight to the point. Mm-hmm. That's just their mentality. Okay, well, men, to make this stuff work, they've got to filter a little better. They've got to slow down. You've got to slow your mind down, and you've got to control what's coming. Your mind's just sitting there waiting to be controlled. You've got to control these thoughts. So that is a tough situation, but I think a man's got to understand that the mama is probably always going to be biased towards the child.
But the mama also has to be sensitive to...
I'm getting there, baby. I'm getting there. But before I was interrupted, excuse me, friends.
So sorry.
The lady in the relationship has got to understand that what the man is doing is very hard. And it's probably I think most people really think they're self first, and it's hard for them to get out of their own perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think mamas, even whenever there's the blended families, I do think they think first about all the stuff we do for the man. You should give me mercy on this kid. I think that's just kind of what they're thinking. Well, it's not as easy to do that. I think there's got to be, like what you're saying, there's got to be some, there's got to, first off, be some acknowledgement there.
Understanding just about everybody's role, because even Nicholas, the child, y'all, not just the guy coming into it. Hey. Not only the guy's coming into it, not only the woman's coming into it, but the child. You have to think about the child.
That's
the child, I know Nicholas probably, in the beginning especially, more so than he feels now. He's gotten very comfortable, but, he's kind of like, who is this? It's just kind of like...
What's he doing here?
Yeah, who's this guy?
Can we talk about this in private? Hey.
But everybody's affected, and you have to understand all sides and just make it work.
Ryan Mudd, I like that. Guys live on facts, girls live on emotion.
Boys play with balls and girls play with dolls.
That's right. That is it. Translate this to business. Mama, I love you. Translate this to business. Well, I think everything should go back to the premise of listen, acknowledge, isolate. A lot of times people don't tell you what the real problem is. A lot of times, most of the time people are protecting. They're walking around with this big old secret, because if they told you this big old secret, it's really going to hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Or it's going to make them feel too vulnerable.
Maybe, but that could be it. Okay, so you got to understand that a lot of times people aren't telling you what's really bothering them. They're giving you some stuff. They're throwing some things out there, but they're holding all the good stuff. Got it over here in a secret little compartment here where you can't find it. So they put it. People are putting their problems in my hairy chest right here. So in business, Joji, what you've got to understand is you've got to listen to the problem. You've got to acknowledge whether you agree with it or not. You've got to put yourself in a mindset of you're taking responsibility for this. It's the way they feel. We got 2 dead trees out there.
3.
We got 3 dead trees out there. The first thing you want to do, and when I say this, most people, they immediately want to shift where they do not have any responsibility in those 3 dead trees. What I tell people is, like I've got a deal going on with somebody right now where I told them the wrong information. I had to call them back to say, hey, I'm sorry, I told you wrong. If there is no arguing agreement, the lack of communication in a relationship. That's right, Ronald Black.
Oh, Mama's got mad faces.
What are you mad, Mama? Dang. So, Joey, always... so always acknowledge it's how somebody feels. That's where it all starts. You've got to acknowledge whether you agree with it or not, that's the way they feel, and then you can start moving on. But if you can't get beyond the emotion will come down if you just acknowledge, hey, I understand that's how you feel. I understand that, hey, Lisa Progar, we'll see you like in 2 weeks on your vacation. Let's take these trees, for example. How you handle that is like, hey, man, I understand, and I apologize that those trees are dead. What is your expectations on me? What do you think I should have to do? If you were to do that to me, I'd be like, oh, man, dang nothing. But if you were to say, well, man, your dog's out there going to the bathroom, hey, wetting on them, or if you're to say anything that's defensive, it puts me in a position to where now I'm going to want to trump you. But if you come in there and you just say, hey, is my show cutting off?
No, it's on.
If you acknowledge, man, I understand that sucks and I hate that, but I didn't put a warranty in on that price. I gave you the best price that I possibly could. And I mean, I'm sorry, but things happen. Is there anything I can do for you? How would that sound? I'm isolating. I'm taking responsibility as the salesperson. How would you feel about that?
You would need to reword that a little bit, though.
Why?
You're saying, is there anything I can do? You're leaving it open.
I am.
Where you could just say,
I am.
What could I do for you to make you
feel
better about this? That's still isolating.
Okay.
Because they're going to have to say specific.
What would you say if I said, well, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't put a price in here that would cover any type of warranty. I gave it to you at the rock bottom price. Is there anything else I can do to make you happy?
What are my options?
Well, what would it take to make you feel good?
What could you do to make me feel better? I like asking questions with questions or answering questions. Yes.
Well, Brittany, do you not feel good other than those 3 trees? Do you feel good about everything out there?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you think I could have done? Hey, is there anything else I could have done? She fell asleep over there. Okay, hey guys, we've been going about an hour and 3 minutes, but we have gotten off topic. But I do believe if you want to become Mr. Right for her, you've got to get whatever it takes for you to become Mr. Right for you. So whatever it takes. No, but I'm saying it all says, hey, this is an inside job, man. It starts with you. Wow. Well, I mean, and again on this show, I don't ever want to get religion or anything in here. So whenever people say, well, it starts with God, I'm not saying that. It still starts with you. So hey, every Thursday night I do Straight from the Gut, where I'm going to talk about very, 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 very vulnerable parts of my past and how I've corrected them and how I can improve them. And one of the ways you can improve things is by admitting that you screwed up. And then you can go back and you can look at these scenarios or these situations and you learn and you grow and you become better from it. So, hey, it's okay to admit that you screwed up. It's okay to admit that you're not happy with something. Too often, I feel like people don't want to... They don't want to admit something's not good enough. But that's not most of the time in the business world. I feel like customers just want to be heard. They don't want you to they don't expect you to solve every problem. But a lot of times, the salesperson will actually give the consumer a real problem. And a lot of times it's the way the salesperson or the owner or whatever reacts to the situation. Well, guys, we're going to shut it down unless I have another question that comes in here to get me going. But we've been going 1 hour.
I did a good job tonight, huh?
You always do a good job.
Woman.
You always do a good job. Andy Steven, man, I sure do miss you, friend. And I would love it if you would buy one of those pink T-shirts. I sure would,
Everybody
friend.
needs to buy one.
I'd love.
For a good cause.
Now, your wife did reach out to Brittany Renee about that consignment store. Julie Stephen. She sure did. So, guys, hey, I don't see any questions. I appreciate you getting on here. And some of you have probably been on here for an hour with me. It means a lot to me. My goal, my purpose is to build the brand Good Time Tommy. I want everybody in this town to know who I am. I want them to know that I'm a real estate agent, but I also want them to know that I'm a guy that has worked hard on getting better every day at what I do. So thank you so much. I want you to all take pride in the 4th of July. I want you to have a great 4th of July holiday. So I'll be back Wednesday. How do you attract a better type of person? You become better. You become better first, Will Webb. That's how you do it. It all starts with you, man.
You attract better when you do better.
Brittany Renee said you attract better when you do better, when you become better. You got to ask yourself this: why am I attracting this into my life? Whatever this is, but the first thing you got to do, in my opinion, is you've got to take full 100% responsibility in the fact that whatever is happening in my life, it is because of me. I am the reason. And if it's good or bad, if it's bad, why does this keep happening to you? Why have you not made changes? And Will, hey, I'm not saying this about you, because from afar, I'm looking at you, man, to me, you've got things going on. So I don't see you having an external problem at all. Looking at you from where I see you, hey, I'll probably see you in the gym in the morning. You're gonna come in there about 6:30 or whatever. I'll see you in there. But man, from where I see you, to me, you don't look like anything it doesn't look to me like you got anything to worry about. Now, you may have some internal faults that are holding you back. What holds us back is inside of our own mind. That's where the ugly stuff is, and we're our own worst enemy. We hold ourselves back. But everybody on here, nobody on here, myself, I don't know anybody that's a self-actualized person that is operating on their full potential in every aspect of their life. That's my goal. Every day I get up. This morning at 5:04, I woke up. I did not want to go in the gym. My body was hurting, but I'm on a mission to reach my goal. You ready for me to get off here, Brittany Renee? I could do this all night. I love it. I don't know. Just rambling on about trying to reach my potential in every aspect of my life. That's all. I appreciate the likes. Will, we need to get back together and talk more. Sorry I didn't call you back today, man. I've had a crazy week of things happening. So, everybody, I'll be back. What are you trying to attract with that shirt?
Me.
Well, this shirt, what I'm attracting is I've got the confidence to wear this shirt, and I don't really care how I look in it. And
there you go.
Whenever there is an absence of the good opinion of others, it will springboard your confidence. Whenever you stop worrying. I've seen like some old country boys. Brittany Renee, I don't know if you've ever seen any old country boys, but man, I'm talking about just some old country boys. They wear things and they just don't care. They just don't care how they sound, what they look like. What are you getting back on here for? They don't care. They carry their self with so much confidence because they are absent of the good opinion of others. They don't care about that. So, all right, kids, I'm about to shut it down because I'm going to lose my voice. So, everybody, I really do appreciate it. I'm shutting it down. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate the questions. Have a great night and a great 4th of July.